So now we're going to get into some word problems, because when we're looking at problem solving, we want to see all of the different scenarios that could exist. So we're budgeting for a wedding, and we want to figure out which hotel offers the better deal. And there might be specific conditions. Okay, and under what conditions? Okay, so Waverly Inn charges $200 flat rate plus $40 per guest. So let's make our let statements. Let X represent number of guests, and let Y represent cost. How much is this going to cost us? Okay, so Waverly. All right, Waverly would be Y equals $40 per guest plus a flat rate of $200, whereas Hotel Niagara would cost us cost equals $30 per guest, but a flat rate of $1,000. Hello, money up front. So, first equation, second equation, set them equal to each other. I'm going to say this equals this, because I want to find out the point at which they are identical. Now, I also want to take this and give myself a little bit more room because I made a mistake and I wrote really big. There we go. A little bit more room. Okay, so let's make those equal to each other. 40, nope, that's wrong. Where's my blue? 40x plus 200 is going to equal, we want to find out when that equals the exact same amount as the 30x plus 1,000. So let's get our x's onto one side. I'm going to subtract 30x from this side, subtract 30x from that side. Whoopsies. 40 minus 30, that's a 10. And then there is a plus 200 equals 1,000 is left over here. Let's subtract that. 200, but if I do it to one side, I have to do it to the other. I'm left with 10x equals 1,000 minus 200, 800. Let's get that x by itself. Divide by 10. If you do it to one side, you have to do it to the other side. X equals 8. My brain just stopped. Okay, 80. So 80 guests. That's what the X stands for, number of guests. So let's find out the cost. Which one do you think is the easiest equation? I'll go with the first one. It's just got smaller numbers. Okay, so we're going to sub X equals 80 into the first equation to find out how much it would actually cost. So let's have a look here. Let's go a little bit of Y equals. Wherever there's an X, I'm going to replace it with an 80. And I'm going to put it in brackets. So then 40 times 80, I get 3,200. Double check with your calculator. Ugh. 3,200 plus this 200 right there. Add those together. We get 3,400 as the total amount. So what this means, therefore, if they invite 80 people, it will cost $3,400 at both of the places. Okay, so that's what we're talking, that's what that point of intersection means. If they invite 80 people, it doesn't matter which place they go to, whether it's Waverly or whether it's Niagara, they're both going to cost exactly the same amount of money. So then we have to think about our conditions. Well, what kind of wedding are we having? Are we having a huge wedding where there's going to be, 200 people there, or are we having a small wedding where you're only inviting 50 people? And that's down here when we're talking about our conditions. So if they invite 80 people, it doesn't matter which hotel they choose. Then we have to think about where is it going to cost a little bit less money depending on the number of guests. So if we were to think about this and graph it really quick, y equals 40x plus 200. Let's go over to Desmos. Des to the most. Let's throw it in here, graphing calculator. Y equals 40x plus 200. 40x plus 200. The other one was y equals 30x plus 1,000. Now, if you look at my scale is like 1, 2, 3. I gotta zoom out. And when I zoom out, I can start to see what's going on. So zooming out, that's a little bit too zoomed out. Let's go back in here and pull it back over. So if I look here, our red line represents the Waverly Inn because it's got a y-intercept down here for 200. And then our blue line represents the Niagara because it's got a y-intercept of 1,000. If we're looking at this right at the get-go, it's cheaper to go with red. It's cheaper to go with red until all the way up here where we start to get to our point of intersection. And I believe that's right there. 80 at 3,400. It doesn't matter which one you go with. So let's zoom into that point of intersection. Zoom in nice and close. And as we go past the point of intersection, you can actually see that blue now is the line on the bottom and red is the line on the top. So it's more expensive to go with Waverly after 80 people than it is with the Niagara. So that's what this says down here. If you have 80 guests, it doesn't matter where you go because it's going to cost the same. If you have over 80 guests, you should go with Hotel Niagara because it's cheaper in the long run. And if you have under 80 guests, you should stick with Waverly Inn. Okay.